Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Paulo Aragão. I'm country manager at Cointelegraph Brasil. And today, I believe we will discuss one of the most buzzword topics about crypto this year, the very, very famous ETFs. And to help us to understand a little bit more about it, we will have three distinguished minds to bring us some teaching about it, because it's really hard to know what it is. So to begin, to kick off our panel, if that's all right, I will ask each of you to make a brief introduction. That's okay? So Juliana, could you start, please?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much, Web Summit, for having me. Thank you, Paulo, and thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be here among you. My name is Juliana Valenkamp. I've been working for the crypto industry for the past 7 years and a half, almost 8 years. Right now, I'm at BitGo. I'm director of Latin America, especially taking care of the institutional clients, also responsible for the strategy and expansion into the region. And I'm helping some startups as advisor on the free time, if we might have.
So thank you, Juliana. Continuing with this first part of our panel, I'd like to introduce Mel Genderman. He's co-founder and CEO at token.com.
Correct. Thank you, Paulo. So indeed, CEO at token.com, and been in crypto for 11 years. And I really believe that our industry can truly change the world, can transform our economy from the ground up. And what we're building at token.com the last 2 years is basically this next generation mass market exchange. It looks nothing like Coinbase or nothing like Binance. It literally looks like a social media feed, like a video feed, like TikTok. And the influencers and you know, like founders and media can upload videos about tokens, and then the token is tagged on the video, and you can buy directly on the video. So it's like this video investing experience that we think will actually take crypto from 100 million users to like 1 billion, right? Because like, if we look at all the exchanges in our space, they have so much money, but they've all struggled to cross the 100 million user mark. And it makes sense when you see that the UX for crypto is so bland. It hasn't changed in almost a decade, and we're trying to actually build a next generation experience for people.
Thank you, Mel. And to round out this first part of our panel, I would like to introduce Marcelo Sampaio. He's co-founder and CEO at Hashdex.
Thank you. Good morning to you all. It's a pleasure to be here. I am from this city, which is great to be close to home. You know, like just to drive here, you know, like it's fantastic when you travel the world like we do. But like I said, I'm Marcelo. I'm the founder, co-founder and CEO at Hashdex. We are the largest crypto asset manager in the region in Latin America. I was just telling the backstage, like, we are the first crypto spot ETF in the world. For some weird reason, Canada ends getting up this accolade. We need to get this record straight. And like, I don't know, I think we should write a Wikipedia page and like pretty much get in the facts. But you know, like, but the thing is, you know, like we have started back in the day, you know, like, so we are from 2018, and we always had this idea that traditional financial markets would eventually discover crypto and will want to get exposure, but they were lacking really high quality products that were liquid, that had fair fees, great governance, that were available, you know, like in the financial platforms that they already had, like your bank, like your broker. So it was simple, fully regulated. So that's what we've done. ETFs were the best way to do it. Unfortunately, they were not possible at that time. Funny enough, we started in America. Not a lot of people know this, but you know, like eventually, you know, like, and we have this anecdote that we had this conversation with the former chair at the SEC. This is 2019 or 18, end of 18, and we could just see his body language that this thing would not fly in the US for a while. So we asked ourselves, what should we do? And then eventually we decided to come back home and literally, you know, like try to make this work from here, right? Brazil at that time, and still is the case, had what we said, a lot of intellectual honesty among the regulators, both our central bank, you know, our Fed, and our version of the SEC. It's called the CVM. And we thought that we could, I mean, pretty much tell the story, and eventually the regulators would understand how important and how game changer this was, and we could do it from here. It was exactly what happened. We launched the first crypto ETF in the world here, the V3, and we are the second largest ETF in number of investors in the stock exchange of this country, and now in Europe, US, so a lot going on. So it's really
Yes,
cool.
and I want to ask exactly about it. As you mentioned, 2 years before the SEC's approval, Hashdex had already launched a crypto ETF in Brazil, the Hash 11.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, what is a crypto, what is a Bitcoin ETF, and what does it matter so much to the crypto market?
Sure. So think that crypto is generally a structure, is a new tech that actually creates a way, like for software, like or big systems, if you will. We call protocols. We call networks. Literally come to existence, incentivizing the people and the parts that actually are making it possible, but in the same way creating, like a gamification, if you will, that if the guys, like whoever wants to access this software, needs to buy the ticket to enter the show from whoever has it created in the secondary market only based on demand. In this architecture, everything is marginal cost, right? But think that this is a technology, but that has an asset associated to that plays a central role in this. And this offers an investment opportunity that is fantastic. That is, I think, is the trade of our generation, if you will. But ultimately, it's a real investment opportunity. But, it's not accessible to most because it's complicated, it's still under development. And most of investors in the markets, they have no idea, and they're not in crypto exchanges, and yeah, we're gonna see a bunch of great solutions that would take this to the mainstream, but it's still ongoing. So the easiest way for investors to actually get access to this opportunity was literally through financial markets, right? So that's exactly what we're trying to solve in one side. And the other side was literally creating these structures, but also educating the market and explaining how truly this works, because crypto is not obvious. Actually, it's pretty damn complicated because it requires a paradigm shift in how you think investment, how you think assets. So one classic is when it comes to Bitcoin, to people not aware, they said, okay, but this thing has nothing behind. There's nothing. And I said, I mean, does dollar has? I said, yeah, the US government, it's just like printing money out of nothing. So it requires a paradigm shift. So educating is is super important. So what I've done was streamlining this process from the investment, like mechanics to actually, people understanding what crypto was, and doing that in the regulated market, like with all the convenience, simple products and so on. So that was pretty much what we're trying to solve, and what we'll keep trying to solve, like expanding this to other markets, other people.
Just to add to that, so it's just so interesting how after almost a decade of like the old world the old financial world trying to wish that Bitcoin didn't exist, they've finally come to the realization that Bitcoin probably isn't going anywhere. And in fact, it may be better money than the US dollar that we keep printing at will right now, And so, the SEC very clearly, like you were saying as well, like they're so reluctant to sign all these ETFs off, right? But they're just under massive pressure from like the huge, investment banks in the US, right? Who know that Bitcoin isn't going away. Chances are it's a pretty good investment in the long run, and they want in, right? And they want in ideally through like a regulated infrastructure, and so that's finally what's been happening. Now, the question is though, like, what world is this really? Where's this going, right? So chances are Bitcoin ETFs being approved is just the latest milestone in the progress of Bitcoin becoming the world reserve currency, right? And, this is amazing progress, but it's very easy for people, I think, in our industry to think that this is also the end game. Getting like ETFs approved, right? That is somehow going to make crypto suddenly absolutely transform the world. It's important, but it won't completely transform the world. It'll make the price go up because more money can flow in, but it doesn't necessarily mean our job here is done, right?
But do you think that these ETFs could help in any way the broader adoption of cryptocurrency, or it's a totally different thing?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, like I bought crypto so long ago. My mind didn't need a lot of convincing by, you know, to say it's now like regulated and, you know, you can buy it on like, you know, a conventional exchange. But for a lot of people, that's important, right? Being able to just buy, you know, your Bitcoin in the same place that you buy your Tesla stock, you know, is quite a big deal. So it'll definitely add adoption, yeah. But really as an investment vehicle, right? Like what we're seeing here is Bitcoin is being doubled down as an investment vehicle, not as like a payment method. It's digital gold that we're like, it's the meme that's growing around Bitcoin. Yeah.
It's true. It's different. And Juliana, only these ETFs are holding more than 4% of the total Bitcoin supply. It's more than 800,000 Bitcoins today. I think it's the current number. Yeah. So what are the main factors that you think that are driving to this huge demand?
Yeah, so in the very first phase that we need to understand is that crypto market is something very new. It was created basically, I don't know, 16 years ago. And in the early stages of the market, it was something very different. No one had contextualization, so a lot of misconception, a lot of bad words about the market, and people also in a parallel time doing some scams and taking advantage of the gray areas to succeed in wrong ways. When we're talking about ETFs, we're basically talking about a regulated product. So what we were projecting some time ago is that institutional money would truly come in as soon as the market truly understood the power of technology in the first moment, and also the possibilities to have, for example, a portion of the investment portfolio in an alternative asset, which is cryptocurrency in general. So when we issue a regulated asset, a regulated instrument that Hashdex years ago truly opened the market to have this view and to have this opportunity to bring money in, we are giving the institutions an opportunity to have a safe place, to diversify, and to have exposure to this type of new world. And the banks prefer to have something regulated by the authorities, and I understand them because for the past decades, they are basically doing the traditional finance with traditional products where either the SEC or the central bank in Brazil or the CVM in Brazil, they have a full understanding what they are doing. And crypto come in to change the world, to change with technology, to give more access, to democratize. And we had some personas like walking in parallel. So we had the maximalists, and we had people trying to bring technology into the industry. So of course that with a regulated tool, the institutional money feels more comfortable to put money there. And I think that now this raise of the portion of ETFs and Bitcoins into ETF, it's basically with that. Institutional money coming, putting the first step. I agree with Mel, it's not the end game, it's just the beginning. As well as tokenization also helps to bring more mass adoption, to bring more education, to bring more contextualization about it. But we are just in the beginning.
For sure, I totally agree with you. It's not a sprint race, it's a long-term one. But we don't have too much time to discuss about it. So we are already drawing to a close. So I have a final question that I want to make to each of you. We are talking a lot about the institutional money. So I want to talk more about other kind of ETFs. Recent reports told that the SEC is trying to classify Ethereum as a security. Do you think that this classifying could impact in a potential approval of Ethereum spot ETF? Could you start, Julian?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Bitcoin was classified as commodity, and now if Ether is classified as security, of course, that we're going to have a more scrutiny into this type of asset. Some people say that Ether was not made for hold, but to create as an infrastructure tool. Of course, that if the SEC defines the Ether as a security, this can eventually have an impact on the timing for this to go to the market. I don't think it's a hard no. I don't think this is a completely roadblock for Ether, but I understand that there are some nuances of Ether that are different from Bitcoin, as for example, with the staking. So when you stake, and we have the possibility to do that with Ether, basically you are borrowing some pieces of your assets to the whole blockchain to help the blockchain to work, to mint, and to create more tokens. So it's tricky, this analysis. Of course, that I think that we should move and have a good understanding of how we can do this type of instrument, but I don't think it's a completely no, right?
For sure. Mel?
I mean, the regulator is a real problem. So the technology, right, that we've created in our industry really has the potential to make almost any idea or concepts or business investable, right? If you are a 21-year-old and you have an idea for a rocket company or for a yoga studio, you should be able to propose this idea to a network of people and have it funded, have that idea funded overnight if it resonates with the audience, right? And essentially, like that's really what our crypto industry wants to do, but they can't do it today because everyone is terrified of the SEC and their Howey test, right? And this is essentially preventing massive like growth of wealth, right? Or like if we get tokens right, if the regulators in the world do their effing job, right, we will come to think of our decade right now, like the early 20th century, right, 21st century, we will come to think of our time right now as a time of relative poverty. By the time we're all like 80 and 90 at the end of the century, right, we will think back of us as like New York in the 1900s with horse carriages and, you know, the first cars driving around, right? And it's like, wow, that time was real. Well, that's today, right? Like we have a chance of creating so much abundant wealth if we unlock the token economy for society, right? Because today we live at the end of the modern economy, but it's bursting at the seams. It can't keep up with exponential technology, whether it's AI or robotics or space flights, right? Like all this stuff is happening and our economy is outdated and tokens are here to change the game. But it's the regulator currently, being one of the big blockers for that happening, right? And so what we're really looking to see is that regulators around the world understand that this technology can actually supercharge economies, right? And and we'll make life better for everyone. Yeah.
Well, so just one thing. Hashdex just converted your ETF, future Bitcoin ETF, to a spot one. So what do you think about this situation
of securities and So I think we need to literally rewind a bit. Like what is driving all this thing is unfortunately politics. It's not technical discussion, unfortunately, because if you ask me if Ethereum is a security or a commodity, it's neither, right? It's not a security, it's not a commodity. If you ask me, it looks like more a commodity, right? And yet CFTC agrees, right? Because they have like a futures trading, like in Chicago with their blessing. And actually that creates like a whole conundrum like for the SEC, because if the SEC deems Ethereum as a security, like they'll have to say, okay, the CFTC was wrong. They don't want to do that because of politics. But at the same time, like, should it be a security? In my opinion, I don't think so. But it could. The issue is not defining. It's not even defining as a security or as a commodity. The problem is not defining, because if the SEC defines, Ethereum as a security, that's great. We do have a framework, like regulatory framework, to treat that. We can just do ETFs of securities. Actually, like ETFs are for securities originally. Like 40X is that. We could do this. If it's a commodity, it's a 33 Act. We're gonna do just like we've done Bitcoin. But the issue is not defining. And honestly, because of politics, if you ask me, with the information we have now, our analysis is this thing is not going to be approved because of the lack of clarity that the SEC. Let's see, but my bet would be that likely they're going to push to the next administration.
Next
right?
year.
Administration. Yeah, because I think we have like an election in the US going on, about to come along, right? And there is a world in which, you know, like even if the current government stays, right, they change, you know, like a number of commissioners, like Mr. Gensler. I don't know if it changes, right? If the other, right, the other part wins, like that's definitely going to change, and hopefully, you know, like you're going to see more enlightened regulators in order to do this. But to your question, the problem is lack of clarity. Is not if it's a security or not. Okay, if it's a security, maybe they're going to prosecute Ethereum in a way they can. Okay. That would be a shame. But I don't think they have a lot necessarily to do in US, right? It's a Swiss foundation and so on. But even with that, it would be better than not knowing, right? And if you ask me what is better, bring a framework, a regulatory framework, just like we've done in Brazil, guys. US, take a look what's going on in Brazil. It's pretty cool what's happening here, honestly. And it's a shame that in 2024, we're celebrating Bitcoin ETF in US. This is so late. I mean, in 2021, what we've done this year, it was already late. I mean, 24 is it's a joke. But with that said, it's good that it's already happening. You know, like it's so much better that it happened than not. So let's celebrate that then. Like, so why not?
We have more 1 minute, so I will ask a really quick question. The Bitcoin halving will be in 2 days, less than 2 days, it will be tomorrow. So what you are expecting for Bitcoin halving, Mel?
Well, it is a technical event, right?
Yeah,
so I, like what's so interesting about Bitcoin is the culture that formed around Bitcoin, right? So back in the early days, people wanted Bitcoin to, you know, like become the whole world economy, and everything was trading on Bitcoin. And then scaling never happened, and so Bitcoin just became digital gold, digital money. And you know, the halvening is this celebrated event. So, you know, with a bit of luck, the price will go up, right? Or like attention will come, but you know, like there's no mathematical pure reason for that to happen.
For sure. Marcelo?
Well, it's very quick, you know, like what I'm expecting having. A big party at #LeBlanc tonight. That's what I'm expecting, you know, like, and that's pretty much it.
Juliana?
Very short answer. I agree with Mel. It's a technical event. So basically with more demand, less offer, the price tends to go up. Even now with the institutional money coming in, more ETFs, companies like #DEX doing this great job. And long story short, to the moon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Let's take a picture.
Oh.